So if you start fresh with the Atlassian platform, you open up your cloud instance and you create your first project through the guided journey Atlassian provides to you. The first Atlassian project you create is always a standard project and not a swarmOS project. We will come to this later on. So please proceed, choose a name and create this project. Having done so, you can switch over to the marketplace and search swarmOS from here, which is pretty simple. You can simply type in swarmOS, find our add-ons and go straight into Cockpit because it always includes Foundation. Loading Foundation, you can try it for free for 30 days, as well as Cockpit and Analyzer, so please try free. You simply go on the marketplace, you will route it into your Atlassian administration area, where you can then say free trial. You have to accept the terms and conditions, and then you're actually installing Cockpit. swarmOS Cockpit always includes swarmOS Foundation, so the journey on installing Foundation is pretty much the same as installing Cockpit, as the first thing you do is installing Foundation and then Cockpit hooks on top of it. Having done so, you can see all of the information on this add-on here, and you can also move over to the documentation where we have a lot of quick help guides and quick start guides, as well as video tutorials. If you click on Manage, you will find your swarmOS Cockpit, including Foundation, over here, and you can actually go to Configure. By doing so, you download the Chrome extension from the marketplace here. The Chrome extension is needed as the Atlassian APIs does not allow a normal user who installs an add-on to do every action you need to set up a platform. Please download the Chrome extension from swarmOS here to have a proper installation. You can see then the Chrome extension on the upper right corner. It has been added to your Chrome browser. Switch back to your Atlassian tab on the Chrome browser to run the Chrome extension from here. So run the Chrome extension from here. You see the installation screen, which goes step by step through a guided journey. Don't close the window or interrupt the extension. It's a pretty quick and easy journey. You don't need to do a lot of things. As said, the Atlassian APIs does not allow to perform every action you need to do to install an instance. By doing so, the add-on will create all of the steps needed to succeed. Please refresh the browser and you will see that all of your installation steps have been successfully completed. By doing so, you can just click Next and you get further through our guided journey. To do the Confluence integration, if you haven't done this yet, you simply set up your Confluence with the credentials you already had used for installing Jira, and you create a token. If you have installed HipChat, it's pretty much the same. You can create a token as well, or you simply go next step and say save. So from here, you can see the text down here. The next step is basically to go to swarmOS Foundation add-on in the Jira menu. To create a new project from here and start working with the swarmOS add-ons, you need to go to the main menu, which you can always find by clicking on the main item. On the upper left corner, you find the swarmOS menu over here. You can go into Foundation, Team Mapping, and Cockpit. If you open up Foundation, you get pretty detailed information how to launch a strategy, business, or software project. You will see very detailed information on how to do this in the old Jira experience and the new Jira experience. You see the explanation over here. It's pretty simple. You actually go and create a project, and I will quickly guide you through this journey. So from the project menu, you go and say, create a project. You give the project a name like swarmOS test. You change the template from the standard Scrum template to the swarmOS template, which you actually find at the very bottom under shared configurations. Select. Then you choose a project, which is then the right template you need to pick from, either strategy, business, or software. We take software in this case, which can be used for business projects as well. You'd simply press create, and your project has been created. After you have installed your swarmOS applications through the wizard, you get routed to your first project when you have launched project configuration. You see the issues menu because no issues have been created. You see your project name. By returning back to the main project menu on your project, you will see all of the swarmOS menu add-ons like team management, like project configuration and cockpit. The first thing we do is we go into project configuration to configure your project. So we have created our project name. I have set myself as the product owner or project lead. I can give it a budget, which will be important later on. I can set a customer if I want so, and I can give it a project end date. Let's assume it's the 30th of April 2018, which is something I want to achieve, what I need to do. Second, as I've chosen a software project, I work in Scrum. If I choose a business project, I can choose if I work in Scrum or Kanban, and I can give the new board, which will be created for you, a name, like swarmOS test board, which will be your Scrum board. I can determine how long my sprint length will be. If you take 2 weeks, this is 10 working days. You simply say 10 and you say save next. swarmOS allows you to push surveys to your team after closing every sprint. There's a set of questions which are recommended to you based on best practice. You can choose if you want to send a survey to your team after every sprint by clicking the tick box. You can change those questions and you can always restore default. Let's keep those questions and say, yes, we want to send a survey after every sprint to understand if the team feel happy with the project. Then we can see if we want to push a survey to a customer as well. You can obviously opt in and out to send a survey to the customer, but you would understand how the customer feels about the project. You can change those questions, you can restore them to default. We keep them as they are. We can now set up a communication room. If we have installed HipChat, which we haven't done here, we can create automatically a project space if we have installed Confluence. As we have done the Confluence integration when we installed Cockpit, we can simply go on Create, and the project space will be created with a couple of templates which are pretty helpful, such as a project business canvas, which determines the goals of your project, the resources you have, and so on and so forth. You can always go and click here to see what has been created for you. And you will see that a couple of pages have been created for you automatically. As I said, the business canvas, which is a more strategic element to describe your project. There's a lot of help. If you go into edit mode, you can see that there is guidance, that you can link your project, that you get help text on what to actually fill in, And if you publish this, you will be fully set. There are a couple of more pages, like the project context map, which we have based on best practice. So to describe your project even further and share this with your teams. As said, there's a lot of help text if you go into edit mode. You can obviously, if a user story will not allow you to put enough text into it, create a project or product requirement page. You can link this to your user stories. Also, these pages have been preset as a template with a lot of help here to actually help you to get guided through a certain product feature definition. We have templates for sprint planning, how long the meeting will take, whom to invite, what should be discussed. Same for the team retrospective. There's a lot of good questions here. You can simply copy those on every retrospective you do, and the same for sprint review. So everything is set on Confluence for your project only to succeed. Going back to Jira, we have now created our collaboration space. On Confluence, we simply press continue, and it leads us automatically to team management, because we have now configured our project with the budget, the goals, the Confluence page, and the only thing we just need to do is to create a team. So by creating a team, you can choose obviously a picture and say, okay, my first team looks as follows. I call it Team Cockpit. I give it a nice name, for example, Team Cockpit, but you can choose any you like. I can determine cost, which means if I have set a budget, I can say this team will probably cost me $2,000 or euro a day, and the velocity is, we normally use 6 points a day. Let's say the velocity of this team is 24 points a day. And you simply press create team, and your team has been created. If you then start working, you can simply choose people from your directory, and you can distinguish between 4 roles: the executive, the product owner, the scrum master, and the team member. So the first thing I do is I add a product owner, and I can choose further people down here, and by simply pressing update, I have created my first team with myself only. You can see this over here. I have given it a daily rate in terms of cost and an estimated velocity. This becomes important if I go over to Cockpit later on, because my project budget and my team's capacity will be taken against those values. And this is all you need to do to create a project with swarmOS. Everything is set by now. Your project is configured, your budget has been given, your teams can be created very easily. All of your roles and permissions are set. Your Confluence templates, our Confluence templates have been used to create a Confluence space and that you can document your project. And you can now simply start building your backlog by creating the first issues. Your board has been set because we created your board. It's obviously empty because it's a pretty new project, but you can see that we have created your first project and your Scrum board over here, and you can just simply start adding the first user stories to your project. Everything else is set, and it's all prepared to use Cockpit in a way that you can now measure escalations. You have an escalation workflow. You can now measure capacity. You can now measure cost. You can send survey by closing a sprint. So you're completely set to run your agile project with just a few clicks. And this hasn't taken more than 3 to 5 minutes to actually configure your platform and create your first project. Everything is set by team management. It's super easy to get the right permissions and roles set up. You can now create your backlog, define your user stories, and see how much people you have and capacity you have compared to the backlog you create. Enjoy the journey with swarmOS. We hope you find it useful. Please provide feedback on swarmOS.com. We're very keen on working with you. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Thank you so much.
swarmOS Foundation is an add-on for Atlassian Jira that empowers customers to quickly and successfully undertake agile transformation.
Agile business execution, simplified by swarmOS.